For all its revolutionary potential, blockchain has this one massive problem. It's slow, like really slow. So what if we could fix that? What if sending Bitcoin was as fast as tapping your credit card? Well, today we're going to dive into the absolutely brilliant technology that's making that a reality.
All right, so first things first, let's get right to the heart of the problem we're trying to solve. It's something people call the blockchain bottleneck, and honestly, it's probably the single biggest thing holding back global adoption.
And when I say it's a bottleneck, I mean, just look at these numbers. Bitcoin, it's chugging along at maybe 7 transactions a second. Ethereum does a little better, maybe 20, but then you look at something like Visa, and we're talking thousands. This isn't just a small difference, right? It's a chasm. For blockchain to be used for everyday things, it needs a serious upgrade. And here's why this should matter to you, personally. When these networks get busy, it's basically a digital traffic jam. Everything slows to a crawl, and guess what happens? The fees, the cost to get your transaction through, they can go through the roof. Suddenly, trying to do something simple, like buying a coffee, totally out of the question. Impractical. So this whole mess begs a really simple but really powerful question. The whole reason the main blockchain is so slow is because every single little thing has to be validated and checked by the entire network. But what if it didn't? What if we could just step off to the side, do our business, and only report back when we're all done? I mean, that would change everything, wouldn't it?
Well, that brilliant idea, it actually has a name. It's called a state channel. And this is the super clever, almost elegant solution that gives us the speed we've been dreaming of, but without giving up that core blockchain security. So let's dig into how this actually works.
Okay, so here's the key thing to wrap your head around. A state channel is like opening up a private bar tab between you and someone else. Once that tab is open, you too can pass money back and forth as many times as you want, and it's instant and practically free. The main blockchain, it has no idea any of this is happening, not until you're both ready to settle up and close that tab for good. Let's put this side by side to really see the difference. The old way, on-chain, every single payment is this big, public, slow, and often expensive event. But with an off-chain state channel, you could have hundreds, even thousands of private transactions happening, and all you need are 2 on-chain events, one to open the channel and one to close it out with the final balance. It's a total game changer. So let's walk through this with our classic example, Alice and Bob. Let's say they want to transact a bunch. First, step 1, they open the channel. They both lock some funds into a special shared smart contract, right there on the blockchain. Done. Now for step 2, the fun part. They can send money back and forth, off-chain, instantly, just by swapping these little digitally signed messages. Think of them as IOUs. Then, whenever they're finished, step 3, they close the channel. They just submit the final balance sheet to the blockchain, and that smart contract pays out what each person is owed. Simple as that. Okay. I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great, but it's happening privately, right? Off-chain. So what's to stop Bob from being a jerk and trying to submit an old balance where he had more money? I mean, without a way to enforce honesty, this whole system would just fall apart. Right, and the way they solve this is it's so clever. First off, every single time the balance changes, both people have to cryptographically sign it. This creates this perfect, undeniable digital paper trail. So if someone tries to submit an old, outdated receipt, the other person has this dispute period where they can just show the newer signed one as proof. And here's the real kicker. The smart contract has penalties built right in. If you get caught trying to cheat, you could literally lose all the funds you locked in the channel. That's a pretty powerful reason to play fair. All right, so a private channel between 2 people is awesome, super useful. But what happens when you want to pay someone you don't have a direct channel with? That's where we need to zoom out. We go from looking at a single channel to a whole interconnected network of them, and that's what the Lightning Network is. And this is the key insight right here. You don't need a direct road to every single house in a city, do you? You just need to be connected to the road system. Well, the Lightning Network works exactly the same way. Your payment can just find a path, hopping between interconnected channels to get to basically anyone else on the network. So let's see how this actually works. Say Alice has a channel with Bob, and Bob has one with Carol, and Carol has one with Dave. Now Alice wants to pay Dave, but she doesn't know him. No problem. She can just route her payment through Bob and Carol to get to Dave. It just flows through the network like a little chain reaction, updating the balances in each channel along the way. And the whole thing happens in an instant. But wait a minute. How do you trust Bob or Carol not to just run off with the money halfway through? This is where the real magic comes in, with a piece of tech called a hashed time lock contract, or HTLC. Now, stay with me here. Think of it like a digital safe with a special lock. Dave, the final recipient, creates a secret password. He gives Alice a hash of that password, which is like a digital fingerprint that can't be reversed. Alice then sends her payment to Bob, locked inside one of these digital safes that can only be opened with Dave's original secret password. Bob can't get the money until he gets the password from Carol, who can't get it until she gets it from Dave. The payment only goes through when Dave reveals his secret, which then unlocks all the safes back down the line. And if he doesn't do it in time, the whole thing just cancels and everyone gets their money back. It makes the transfer atomic. It's all or it's nothing. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so the tech is honestly brilliant. But what does this all mean in the real world? Let's get practical and look at both the promise and the very real challenges of this whole system.
When you lay it all out, the strengths are just incredible. We're talking instant speed, fees that are basically nothing, and massive, massive scalability. But let's be real, it's not a silver bullet. There are limitations. For one, you have to lock up your funds to use a channel, and that capital is just sitting there. Sometimes a payment might fail if a clear route can't be found, especially for bigger payments. And, for somebody just starting out in crypto, getting a channel set up, it can still feel a little complicated. And this right here might be the most important thing to understand. The Lightning Network isn't trying to replace Bitcoin. It's what we call a layer 2 solution. It sits on top of the main blockchain. So it doesn't get rid of the blockchain, it extends it. It uses that main chain for the ultimate final security, while it handles all the little high-speed day-to-day payments off to the side. It's what makes the whole thing usable at scale.
So what kind of stuff does this actually let us do? Well, it opens up the whole world of micropayments. Think about it, earning crypto rewards in a video game that show up in your wallet in real time. Or instead of paying for a whole monthly subscription, just paying a few cents for the one news article you actually want to read. And maybe the biggest one of all, sending money to your family anywhere in the world, in seconds, for maybe a fraction of a penny. This makes crypto something you can actually use. So that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. For years, people have called Bitcoin digital gold, right? A slow, super secure way to store value. But if the Lightning Network makes it an instant, global, practically free payment system, well, does that turn it into digital cash? Does it suddenly become a real competitor to Visa or even the dollar? The answer to that question could really change the future of money as we know it.